Alright, let's see how the audio is because the speaker's all the way over here and I'm all the way over here, so let's see. But at least you'll have the visual. I'll try to put the video in Canvas for you guys. Okay, so we have our tools. Again, we should be working with these brushes, but we're gonna work with what we got. Take your product, which is Play-Doh, open it up. You're going to take your spatula. Now, we never use our fingers to dig in to grab stuff. That's unsanitary. We're going to take our spatula, and we're going to take a huge, pretty big chunk of product, and what we're going to do is cap our product. When we cap our product, we're going to put the cap over the top so that it doesn't harden and stuff gets in it, you know, flip over and fall or whatever. But we're not going to close it because we're going to go in and out of it a few more times. Alright, so today we're going to learn how, at the most basic form, how to create a 3D flower. The most popular ones you've seen in nail art. Okay, we are going to use Play-Doh. Why are we using Play-Doh? It's nice and fresh, so it's like real pliable. Why we use Play-Doh? Play-Doh matches 4D gel, the texture and the pliability of it, and the way you're able to mold it, and it's cheap. Let's say this is your 4D gel. This is $15. This is like 50 cents. Which one would you practice with and mess up? Not the good stuff. So that's why we use Play-Doh, okay? Alright, you're going to learn how to do 3D flowers, not 4D. What's the difference between 3D and 4D? If I have a flower on my fingernail, and let's say my flower is like this, right? See how it's elevated up off the surface? If I can put my whole, I'm not gonna because it gets stuck, but if I can put my whole finger in my nose, that's 3D because it's small enough. But let's say I have a flower and it is something crazy like a gummy bear shape or a lollipop. If I got something like this, if I can't put that in my finger, my nose, then that's 4D. That's kind of how you can gauge it, okay? So, we're going to take our tool, our fingers, and we're going to knead it. We're just going to mash it, give it some love. Now, when you mash it, like really moves because it's brand new Play-Doh, just got delivered recently. Play-Doh that's a little bit older, you do have to knead it a little bit more and warm it up. If the room is cold, your product doesn't work well. If you're sitting right underneath the vent, where the air hits your area, that's not good for nails because it dries things up. Kind of like when you're doing lashes, you don't want to sit on the vent. So, fresh Play-Doh is the best. We're going to do a roly-poly with our finger. Okay, what is now all over the finger? 1, our oils. 2, our dead skin. 3, our fingerprints. Is a client paying for that? Nope. So, not good. We should be wearing gloves. We don't have gloves today, it's okay. But you also have the lines on your palm, right? So when we're doing this motion, you also place lines on the bead. Don't want that. When you're wearing gloves, if you are a large, you need a medium. If you're a medium, you need a small. Small, you need extra small. And if you are extra small, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. The gloves are going to be large. You want them to be really tight because if the glove is large and like there's a lot of fabric, if you will, it's not going to work. You're going to have a lot of wrinkles and cracks and indentions, okay? If I cut my hands like this and I put the ball or bead in the middle and I'm going to do this roly-poly, I'm going to end up with my bead with a bump on the top and a bump on the bottom because of the curvature here of my palm. So I need to expand my palm to get a really flat surface. Sometimes that doesn't work. So I get a smooth surface like my metal palette, and again, this palette works as well, but we explained why we switched that. I put it right in the middle. I take my finger, and I'm going to roll after I knead and massage and love on my little bit of product. And while I'm doing this, because this is a smooth surface, I am smoothing out the surface of the bead. So as I'm doing this, I'm rotating the ball around my palette so that different surfaces of the ball or the bead hit or get smoothed out by my smooth palette. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to just push down just a teeny tiny bit so that I feel like it gets stuck to the surface. Not a lot, just a teeny tiny bit so it gets stuck. Alright, so now that I have my bead stuck on the surface, if you will, we're not going to use tools yet. We're going to use our fingers. And we're going to start really big, because if I can do really big, then I can work on making it really tiny with time and practice. So, I'm going to take my finger at a 45-degree angle. So the base is pointing or close to my tummy, okay? So, I'm going to take my finger, my knuckles are going to touch the tabletop, my fingertip is going to be up to the sky, and I'm going to press and indent my finger to where I'm making a ramp. So let me turn this sideways. Can you see this ramp right here? So if I had a wheelchair, I can go up that ramp. But if I had a wheelchair on this side, I'm going to bump into that. Okay? That's what I want. I'm going to press and push. Okay? Now, people take their thumbs, their fingers upwards, their fingers sideways, their pinkies, whatever fingers you want. I'm going to take my pinkies and I'm going to make a V shape at the point where the petal will be connected to the middle of the flower, the body of the flower. You know how when you're in love and you're pulling a flower, he loves me not, he loves me. That part that detaches from the flower is this V shape, okay? And so now I have this weird looking, odd, mushroom, weird, ball, bulge thing. That's okay. Trust the process. Okay? From here, whatever finger you want, I'm using my pinky so it's smaller so you can see in the camera. There is a middle. I'm going to pivot to the left and I'm going to pivot to the right because I want to expand the wingspan. Remember how we did brushes and face painting? And if you press, this one has gel all over it. When you press down, the wings open. Okay, I want the wing of the top part of my flower to spread out. So I'm going to put my finger in the middle and I'm going to press down. Then I'm going to pivot to the left and press down and pivot to the right and press down. So now my bulge, and I'm going to continue doing that until I'm happy with my shape. My bulge is not so 4D. I'm flattening it out to be more 3D. It's flatter. I still have my V shape. It's still in the shape of a petal. Just now, it's more flat. I have expanded the width of the petal. Now, yes, every petal looks different because they are different. The lavender petals, the hydrangea petals, every petal has a different shape. Some are longer, some are wider, some are crinkly, some are textured, some are pointy. In nail art, especially in acrylic 3D art, nail flowers, we see a nail flower that's very popular. It's very pointy on the tip. So we're gonna make this into that, except it's really big. It's big, jumbo size. So I can flip my finger and go upwards. I can take my spatula underneath and flip it over. When you do this, you have to make sure not to move or damage my design. And I've got to press down so it sticks back down. Or, if this was my original design, I just take my surface and I flip it over to rotate it. Those are three options. You have to move your design. Whichever one you choose is up to you. Okay? I'm just going to rotate it. So now it's upside down. Where it's connected to the flower bud is upwards away from me, and then the curve of the petal is towards my belly. I want to make it pointy like that popular flower, so I'm going to take my pinky and in the middle I'm going to press down because I lifted up, make sure it's stuck a little bit. I'm going to gently bring that product and I'm going to glide it towards my belly, and all I'm doing is gently pressing. And then I'm going to tap the sides, and voila, I have a petal. It's a little lopsided there. Have a petal like that popular petal that you see, and it's usually done with white. Now if I flip this back around, voila, there it is. At the most basic form, in the most basic of ways, this is 3D or 4D nail art, flowers. There are so many variations of petals. You can add different direction, texture, shapes, color 2 colors together, 4 colors. You can layer it. There's so much to do. But at the most basic foundation, if you can do this with this skill, you're good. It's just sky's the limit from here. Okay? I'm going to add a little bit of texture. But first, I need to move my petal. So I'm going to glide my spatula, and I'm going to transfer my design from my work surface to another spot. How would you do this for a client? Okay, Natalie's coming in. She wants roses. I don't have time to build the rose while she's sitting there because I only booked her for an hour. But she sent me a picture today. I'm making the roses off of her nail. I'm putting it to the side in a little box. Tomorrow when she comes in, I'm going to take it like a charm and glue it on her nail. Can you do that? Yes. This is that process. We're going to say. For now, I'm just going to move my petal off to the side. My hole is going to be to my left-hand side. I'm going to ask my neighbor, whoever, hey neighbor, I'm going to give you a little bead of mine. You give me a little bead of yours, and we're going to use our spatula. We don't take stuff out of containers with our dirty fingers. So we're going to make the middle of the flower, so don't make it too big. And we're going to cap our product, because in a minute we're going to go back into it. And you're going to knead it. Just really mash it. Warm it up. And make it a ball. Make it a bead. And then smooth out the surface. So you're rolling it over your smooth palette with your finger. And you're going to pretend this is a clock. You're going to put your bead right in the middle of the clock with the circle to the left. So it's going to be right in the middle here. And I'm going to tap it down. I'm going to push and press to make, see if I will do it this time, push and press to make a patty cake. Now, can you see this? You can barely see it on the screen, but can you see that? That's like a little gap right there. That wasn't my nail or a tool. The product itself did that. Why does it do that? Because you left a line or a divot or crater in your bead, and you did not knead it correctly. You didn't mash the bubbles out correctly. So if you leave a line in your design, your product, it's going to come out when you start molding it out. Okay? So it's got to be nice and smooth. Now, can you use a flat surface and mash it? Sure you can. Not a problem. Just make sure it's a clean surface and there's no, like, gunk on your design. Also, too, if you have old or aged product, it will do it too. Rounding out the sides, just using my finger to create a nice little patty cake. If you have product that you're practicing with and it's just going to give you a crease, just pat it out. It'll be good. We're going to go ahead and create our texture. Okay. We're going to take our blue brush. Now these brushes are only for gel. So when you're working with gel, these are only for gel. Not for acrylic, not for paint, only gel brushes, okay? Mine's hard because I used it last year and I haven't cleaned it, okay? On the back end of your blue brush, you have what we call a daughter. Not like mother daughter, but like a daughter that makes a dot. If you take your fingernails and you glide your fingernails on the stem, it's going to get stuck because there is a bead on the tip end. And that bead has like a step or a edge to it. If I were to take and mash it all the way into my Play-Doh, it's going to get stuck because of that step. So I have to gently push it in. Besides, if I made a big old hole and I go in with my clear polish over the top, it's going to fill it in. It's just going to be too much shine and you're not going to see the texture. So not good to do a huge gap or a huge hole. I'm going to straight perpendicular. I'm going to get out of the way because you can't see in the camera. The brush needs to be straight up and down, perpendicular to the table, and I'm going to move mine so you can see, But you're going to make straight down, straight up, straight down, straight up, little tiny holes to create texture. Now you don't want them too deep. You want it to be able to be seen, but not too crazy deep and not too much, because if you do too much, then it's too much. You lose the design. So you're making little holes, and that's the middle of your flower. You're making texture like a sunflower. Okay? That's the middle of the flower. Once you've created your texture, you're going to grab your spatula. You're going to grab your petal, and you're going to transfer it as if you did this on the mat. Now you're going to put it on your client. And you're going to do 12 o'clock. Pretend your palette is a clock, and we're going to lay this down at 12 o'clock. And we're just going to mash it a little bit so it sticks to our surface, but not mash it hard enough to where it's going to damage the design. Now, just like a leaf, there are vines, or, vine, like the lines, right? The little veins that it has. So we're going to take our metal tool, get it on its side, and if you don't have the metal tool, you can use whatever tool you can find. You can use your dotting tool as well, and you can draw a line with the indentation motion. I'm going to do mine a little bit extra deep so you can see it better on camera. You can do very light or you can do very heavy. Just depends on what you're going for. Straight, or you can add a little bit of movement by moving your line around. Do you remember when we did henna and we had the different daisy petal, the M petal, the corn petal, all of that, and then we did the fill, so you fill it in the middle? This is a fill. When you don't have a fill, it doesn't look as intricate as something that has a fill. So when someone looks at it, it's like, wow, whoa, that's a lot, and really it's not a lot. It just looks busy, so your design, now you can overdo it, but your design will look busier. So it looks more complicated, more custom, if you will. Custom means you can do what? Charge more. Yeah, okay? All right, so turn to another neighbor. Hey neighbor, now it's our turn, so I'm going to give you a little bead of mine. You give me a little bead of yours, so you have a different color. Alright, so I'm just going to use the same color, it's fine. But this time, you need a smaller bead than the first petal. So whatever size you took of the first petal, you need less. So less product. Because we're going to make, remember the line of diminishing dots in henna? We're going to make a line of diminishing petals, or diminishing petals. So mash and knead your product, and if you don't want to switch or share, it's okay. Same color's fine, not a problem. And once you mash and knead, you're going to smooth it out on your flat surface. Although we are leaving our fingerprints on there today with clients, they are not paying for that, so you put gloves on. And you can also do this with your spatula. Once you get really good, people grab their spatula and they do this with the spatula like this. So then if you're not wearing gloves, it's still smooth, as long as the spatula has a smooth surface. So now let's look at our clock. Right in the middle is the middle of our flower, the body of the flower. Then we have our petal at 12 o'clock. We're going to, in between the 1 and the 2, we're going to place the petal, the bead. You're going to mash down slightly so it sticks. Now, I can move my body, I can move the client's finger right side up, upside down, or if I'm working on a surface, I'm just going to rotate my surface so that this is 12 o'clock. This time though, we are going to work with the back of a brush. You can pick whichever one you want. I'm going to do the floral one because it's smaller. But if your bead is bigger, then you might want to do the green one. So, same thing I did with my finger, except I'm not allowed to use my finger this time. I got to use my brush. Because remember, you do use your silicone brush, and also know that there are different shapes of the brushes, the brush head. So you can use, it just depends on the flower you're making. So, same thing. Let's go. 45-degree angle. You're going to press down. Go to the left. Go to the right. You're going to make kind of like a corn, like a little thing of corn or a little heart. And drag it down slightly. You're going to make your V shape. on both sides. And if you make a little bit of an indentation, don't worry, just gently glide your brush handle over the top to smooth it out. Then turning my brush upside down as it's going to stab me with the tail end and the stomach, I'm going to, whoop, I didn't push it hard enough. I'm going to expand the wingspan and smooth it out. Now if your brush is too thick for this petal, it's okay. We're just working with what we have today. And then I'm going to pull the tip. And you can have it looking crazy until the client walks out. As long as the client walks out happy, the process doesn't always look right. Alright, it only looks right at the very, very end. So just trust your process. You can use your finger to kind of hold it down as you're shaping and make your V point. And we're going to this time add some texture to the point. Some movement. So your movement is as if your flower is swaying.
9:30 ADA attendance reminder.
Swaying to the right or to the left. I don't love this side here. I'm going to use my tool to smooth it out. You can use your spatula. You can use your dotting tool. And if you created any borders, if you created any ridges, just very gently take your brush and smooth it out. At the tip, once you get to the tip, you're going to twist the tip, if you will, as it's getting a little bit of texture, a little bit of movement. And just make the tip go to one direction. Push it in. Push the tip to go to the right or to the left. You can push the sides to give it some elevation, to make it come up a little bit. There's so much you can do with just tapping the product to certain sides. You're going to take and add texture to the middle. I'll do it a little bit harder so you can see better on the screen than I normally would. If you have a little bit of product that has raised up, all you got to do is mash it down, roll it out. If you mess up, roll it out, start again. The best part to product like this is that it does not harden until you put it in the lamp. Once you put it in the lamp, then it hardens and game over. But until the light touches it, you can take it off, rework it, roll it up again, knead it, start all over, take it off, add more. Endless opportunities or possibilities. Okay, so here's my 12 o'clock. Here's my 1:30, 2 o'clock. I'm going to continue making my flower. You can continue switching colors with your table partners. But each petal that I add to my flower gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Minimum 5 petals. You're not, well actually your reboot. You are going to finish today. No, you're not going to finish today because we have some training to do in reboot. But that's all I have for you for today. Finish working on your flower until the reboot bell rings, and then we'll have to pause, do the training, and then you can finish working. Okay. Questions?